Hello all my makeup freaks and welcome back to my channel if you're new here. Hi, I'm Stephanie. So Tuesday I promised you that this video would be up on Thursday, kind of explaining a little bit more. I'm sorry I'm kind of running late. I'm hoping to get this up on Thursday, but it is Thursday at like 10 o'clock at night. I'm hoping it'll be up at some point. But March 31st is Transgender Day of Visibility, and I really wanted to have a video talking about this on this day. And I just want to say that if you are trans or you're somewhere on the non-binary spectrum, that you are valid, you are who you feel inside, and you are beautiful, handsome, however you want to be referred to. You are that. And I asked for questions. I didn't get a ton of questions. I did get a few, and I'm going to answer those. The first question really doesn't have to do with what I talked about, but I think it is an important question. And basically it was, how do you deal with a partner that doesn't accept or doesn't appreciate that you feel very strongly about a subject? And it was in reference to LGBT people and their rights, to the point that if you brought it up, it would be a deal breaker or like a ending of a relationship kind of thing. My honest answer is I wouldn't deal with that. It's just me personally. I feel too strongly about the subject, but I can understand if you are already in a relationship and you want to maintain that relationship. Honestly, there's not an easy way to do that. If they can't respect your feelings, I mean, how are you going to be able to do that? I would say if they're open to communication, that you can say, like, this is my feelings and this is something that I feel very strongly about. Could you please, even if you have a difference of opinion, kind of keep that difference of opinion to yourself and kind of let me be who I am. After that, there's not really much you can do. And I'm sorry that that wasn't a better answer, but that's really like all that I kind of have that I can weigh in on that subject. Another question that I got, and this was something that I was going to talk about in this video, is some terms that I used. The first term was cisgendered, and cisgender basically means that we're identified as female at birth and you feel female, or you were identified as male at birth and you feel male. So that is just a term to say that you actually feel the gender that you were assigned at birth. So me, I was assigned at birth female, but I feel that I am multiple genders. I don't necessarily feel like my gender is static. It kind of moves around. Like I kind of explain to people that I am a Doctor Who fan and that my gender is kind of like a wibbly wobbly kind of gender thing, where, you know, Doctor Who's like wibbly wobbly time stuff. Mine is like wibbly wobbly gender stuff. And Genderfluid can be under the trans umbrella. I do actually have some gender dysphoria where I have kind of questioned, like, do I need to transition? And transition just means turn into the gender that I feel. But I feel different genders at different times, so it really wouldn't be something that I do think about it, because I do have dysphoria, but it's not something that I feel that I'm going to do. So the next one is dysphoria. I'll just talk about that. I did explain it in the other one. That is just, it can be kind of different feelings. It can be depression, but just that what your body actually looks like is not what your mind says or thinks that your body should look like. You can be uncomfortable if you are misgendered. You can be uncomfortable if someone calls you the name that you were born with, but the name you do not associate with, because people do choose to change their name sometimes. I'm keeping my name. I feel strongly attached to my name. Like, I do like Steph a lot. I get called Steph a lot, even by my family. It's kind of a thing. And you can feel really uncomfortable about having to dress the way you don't feel, I feel that if I have to wear a dress, like I would just feel extremely uncomfortable. Luckily, I do not have to do that. So that is what dysphoria is. And the next one that I want to talk about is the difference between sex and gender. And I'm not talking about like sexual intercourse. I'm talking about sex, which sex basically means the gender that you were assigned at birth. So physically, when you were born, what body parts you had. There is intersex, where you actually have traits of male and female, not just female or male, but that is a different kind of thing. I'm just talking about if you were born female or you were born male. So that is what your sex is, or what you're assigned at birth gender is. So in your head, you can feel that you are not what your assigned at birth sex or gender was. And gender is what you actually feel that you are. So my sex and my gender do not match up. Most people's sex and gender do match up. So they feel the same gender that they were assigned at birth. That is kind of what the norm is, but there are many, many, many people that do not feel that way. And they can kind of have many, many different labels. I think we're all kind of under the trans umbrella. Some people that are gender fluid or non-binary, which I'll talk about what non-binary is in a minute, do not claim to be under trans label. I do to a certain extent, just because I do have that feeling sometimes and thoughts that I want to transition. And I'm actually going to make, let me just pause right here. I am going to make a video telling how I came to this realization about myself. And I was going to do it a little bit in this video, but I'm going to try to make this more just an understanding video and kind of a terminology video versus talking about my personal experience. So be looking for that maybe next week, okay? The next thing that I'm going to talk about is non-binary. I know I did mention it in the other video and that may have confused people. So binary, which is how basically the world kind of views sex, gender kind of thing, is male and female. And even trans people that are born male and they want to transition to female, or trans people that were born female and they want to transition to male, they're still binary because they feel a definite connection to either male or female. If you are non-binary, which gender fluid is kind of under the non-binary label, then you do not feel like you fit into that male-female binary. It doesn't, I mean, I have female body parts, but in my head, I don't 100% feel like a female. There are people that just kind of label themselves non-binary, and that's all the label that they choose. I don't necessarily feel like you have to have a label. I kind of chose my label of what fits the closest to how I feel, and I've kind of like shared this with YouTube and the world and people because I feel it needs to be talked about, because this is more common than I think people understand, and it is a real thing. It's not something, oh, let me just make something up and just be as weird as I can be and have people say, oh, that's not valid. That, you know, I don't think anyone would kind of choose this for themselves. Let me just put that out there. Nobody would choose to be so completely different than 90% of the people that they're around every day. You just wouldn't choose that. It is a very valid and a very real thing, and people need to understand that it is a valid and a very real thing, that if your sex and your gender do not match up, you are fine. If you want to give yourself a label, you can give yourself a label. If you don't want to give yourself a label, you don't have to give yourself a label. There's also like a label of genderqueer, which when I first heard that label, I kind of identified with that, but queer can be like a troubling word to some people. And when I found the word gender fluid and kind of like read up on that, I was like, yes, this is me. Non-binary and genderqueer kind of mean the same thing. Basically, you do not fit into that male-female binary. I hope that I explained what non-binary means. If you would like any more information or any more terms, let me know. I will definitely make more videos on this. I'm going to kind of give my whole story, because there's like a whole backstory that I felt like this since I was about 4 or 5. Just did not have a name for it. And it's really, it can be a confusing thing. Like, I'm not confused because I know I feel the way I feel. But I have been confused because I don't know, or I didn't know where I fit in and what that meant to me personally and what that meant to the people around me. So it was a confusing thing. Some people are completely not confused. They know, like, I was born a guy, but I am a girl. And I sometimes think that in your head that's a little bit easier. Technically, I think they have a lot more problems. Like, because I know that I have, that I kind of present to the world as a woman, and some people look at me and they wouldn't see, like, oh, well, that's not a woman. So I do have like cis privilege, which basically means I'm not going to be attacked or whatever because my gender and my sex don't match up. And there are people that have to worry about that can't walk down the street, and that's a really sad thing, to feel like you can't go through life because you're going to be hurt. Just be a little bit more understanding. If you are cisgendered, which basically means your sex and gender match up, just understand that this is a real thing, and try to be a little bit more kind. With all these like crazy laws trying to get passed, just, you know, give a little thought. Like, people are just trying to get through their life. You're just trying to get through your life, and just show a little bit of kindness. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions. You can message me. It can be completely anonymous. Like, the people that asked me questions, I did not give their names. So there's definitely personal things that people don't really want to share on YouTube, and I understand. I pretty much have bared my soul for you guys just because I think there needs to be more people talking about it, and I also feel like there's not a lot of people my age talking about it, and I think it's an important thing to talk about. So I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you later. I love you. Bye.